So next up, I have Yoni Sidi, CEO at WizTech, joining me for a virtual fireside chat. We will be talking about the Mexican market, right? So Yoni, it's nice to have you here. You're on mute.
Thank you for having me. There's always one that's on mute. Thanks for having me. I don't know if I can do a bill though.
You're not the first one today.
I'm sure, but being the next act after Bill is like being the next act after the Rolling Stones.
Nah, it's not like that. The viewers are still sticking around, so you're in good hands.
Okay, good.
All right, so before we dive into the questions and talk about the Mexican market and the regulatory complexities, could you say a few words about yourself and WizTech to the audience so they get to know you a little bit?
Yes, so I'm Yoni, 21 years in this industry. It's the only job I've ever had. Worked for small brands, large brands, regulated, unregulated, mainly working for Playtech. So we worked on some of the larger deals. As a director at the William Hill Playtech joint venture, which seems like many, many moons ago. Then some of the other brands, we also launched Caliente, which is, I suppose, my background into the Mexican market, winner.com, and lots of other interesting projects along the way. And about 3 years ago, decided that I see a gap in the market for a platform that is slightly different. And by different, I mean, obviously the industry is saturated with platform providers today, but they're all pretty much the same. Time to market is an issue, reporting, data, insights into your customers. So we started to build a platform and very fortunately stumbled across another partner in Mexico, regulated brand with 21 retail casinos, so the largest in Mexico, that had never been online. And funny enough, actually, we met them when we met Caliente about 8 or 9 years ago, and we decided to go with Caliente. So we took them online, and the growth has been phenomenal. We went live, I believe, in September of 22, and today we're one of the biggest brands in Mexico in terms of casino, and competing there against some really good big players, Caliente, of course, Cordera, and other brands. So we're focusing on different aspects of the business, not just on marketing and positioning ourselves as a sports brand, but more along the line of the futuristic brand, crypto brand, the stake.com, the BC game, just to try and engage the new audience, let's just say. And then apart from that, we have now not dozens, but a lot of other B2B clients that have seen us, that have taken our platform and like our platform. But Mexico's our main focus for sure, where we believe we can see the most amount of growth out of all the jurisdictions that we're currently working in.
All right. Thank you so much for this great introduction. And I have to do a disclaimer. I wasn't very up to date with the Mexican regulatory updates, but before we started prepping this session, I just read throughout it and I followed the news. And I saw that President Lopez Obrador has banned slots in casinos and other gambling facilities via decree in November last year. And this is why we are discussing how iGaming companies can navigate the changing regulatory environment within the Mexican market. And of course, we are going to discuss other verticals that operators can tap into to retain their players. And of course, the technologies that are needed to gain the competitive edge. So my first question to you, Yoni, is WizTech has already made its mark on the Mexican market, as you mentioned. So what are the biggest opportunities that you have identified within the market?
First of all, it really is a great market. I think Brazil is going down that line, obviously, of regulation, but being a regulated Latin American market with such a huge population definitely has its challenges, but also big upsides. Market's evolved a lot over the 7-8 years when we launched, or when I was part of the Caliente team that launched back then. And I think the advances in technology have been most felt in Latin America and Mexico specifically. Internet and Wi-Fi is is readily available, high-speed internet for a lot of the population. Smartphone penetration has increased drastically over that 7-year, 8-year period. And I think it's a new generation now that are expecting, or kind of, you could say expecting, to have everything in the palm of their hands, whether it be streaming TV programs, e-commerce websites, and also gaming. They like to have a good, futuristic, quick website that they can relate to. So I think that's changed a lot. So I think the advance in technology in Mexico have definitely been felt. Obviously, the regulatory changes that have happened recently are going to have an effect. We're still waiting to see what that effect will be. But I've always been a big fan of regulation, maybe because I worked with Playtech for so long. But I think regulation is a good thing. It encourages the operators to put the customer first. And I think that is something that today the customer expects as a given. So I think that's one thing. And I also think the competitors that were there before us kind of paved the way and educated the market already. So, they know how to deposit, they know how to play, they know how to withdraw, they know what games to look for. And I think all of that combined together, I think makes a market with the size of Mexico extremely lucrative, potentially, if you know how to navigate your way through those choppy waters.
All right. So before we started, you mentioned that speaking after Bill Pascal is like stepping after the Rolling Stones, but it's the other way around, my friend, because the audience grew 10% now. So
I'm
that's
winning.
Good. All right. So let's talk about the secret ingredient of winning then. So maybe you can tell us what is that secret ingredient to gaining a competitive advantage in this market, the Mexican market, and is technology key, or is there more to that?
Technology is important for sure. I'm not sure how much what we do is a secret. I don't think anyone really is reinventing the wheel. And I think something about the iGaming industry in general, we haven't really evolved too much. In the 20 years that I've been doing it, it's difficult. People have tried with virtual reality or all these different types of tools they bring in. So the technology is definitely important, but I think it's what you do with that technology. You have brands out there that invest a lot, and you can see the quality of the tech that they have, whether it be the Kaizen Group or Bet365 or the States or the PC.Games. They have technology that really does stand out once you open their app and you can see. But whereas I kind of know my place in the pecking order, and I know that I can't have hundreds of tech guys building us the best product we have. I think it's being able to utilize the technology in the right manner. So I think a lot of people are very, very similar. We have the same games, the same offerings, the same promotions for our customers. The flows and the journeys are very, very similar. But I think if you can combine that with actually having data-driven insights into the users, so you can personalize the gaming experience a bit more and not just give everyone the same. So, for example, if a customer likes to play slot games, why would we show him table games? If we know that our customers like to deposit a certain time of the day or certain period of the month, then we would tailor those offers to fully engage with him, because we know that's when he's going to be with us, or that's when he's going to become more relevant to us. And if we show him the right message at the right time, it's also better for the user, because you're removing all of the noise that is in and around the ecosystem that we have already with the gaming platforms, loads of games, lots of banners, everything popping up. I think today, with the technology that we have and the data that we have, you can give the user what he wants when he wants it. And I think that's something very, very important, and something that can be taken from brands like Netflix, for example, that they show you what you want to see, or even the social networks out there. They show you posts and stories that are relevant to you, and that also makes it much more engaging. And that's where we try and put ourselves. We try and become much more engaging with the user, and I think that helps build up the credibility. Again, we went live just over a year and a half ago, and the feedback we get from our customers is fantastic. They love the website, they love the customer support, they love the service, they love the personal touch, they love that we try and be as transparent as we can in our communication. So, we don't try and entice them in with bonuses, but not let them know that these bonuses come with wagering. So if you don't want them, don't have them. And then obviously paying out the customers instantly. It's a given. They expect to receive their money within minutes. Gone are the days where you can wait 24 hours. And I get that. I fully understand that. I play myself online, and it's a good feeling to know that once you press the withdraw button, the money's in your account instantly. So I don't want to say that anything we have done that has contributed to our incredible growth is a secret. I think we're just trying to do the simple things well and utilize the tools at our disposal to the best of our abilities. That is good for the user and good for us.
All right. So do you think that established companies in the Latin American market, because Mexico can be called the Latin American market, right? So do you think that established companies have more advantages over startups in this particular case?
The answer is yes. They have money. They've built up a brand. In Mexico is quite a unique market where you have one brand that is 60-70% of that market. And they're a brand that have, in terms of their marketing ability, they've taken everything and they've kept everything, which is fine. It's their strategy. They were one of the first ones into the market, and they've managed to solidify their position, which is great. But it definitely does leave it gives them a big advantage, not only that they've been there for longer, but they also have the brand trustworthiness for the customers. And it makes it harder if you don't have the big money to spend. So if you're coming in now to Mexican market and you don't have the tens of millions that they're spending, you need to find another angle. We're fortunate that we have partnered with a really good local partner, which is a land-based casino, a well-established, well-respected land-based casino. And we've been able to utilize their brand to grow our brand. It's a joint venture, but our brand online. I think, and there are other brands out there, I think they will struggle to compete. But then it comes down to, what is their end goal? Do they want to be the biggest brand in Mexico? It won't happen. Are they looking to get a 1%, 2% market share? If you're good at digital marketing and you have good influencers and you know how to retain your customers, then yes, the opportunity is there. But I think the closer you try and get to touching the sun, the hotter it becomes. And it's not easy. You need to have a lot of patience. You need to be able to receive information and act on that information quickly, which other brands don't always have the ability to do, because unless Mexico is going to be your main market, you are going to dedicate all your resources to information and data you get to make those changes, then waiting 6 months means you've already lost all the customers you tried to acquire over that period of time. So you have to be quick, you have to be nimble, you have to be realistic with the goals that you set as a company. Like I say, we're never going to be a Caliente, we can never be a Codere, but I do believe that a well-run operation in a regulated market like Mexico has the ability to get the crumbs that are falling off the table. And that's more than enough to have a very good, profitable and enjoyable business in Mexico.
All right, good to hear that. Because besides Gaming Americas, we do have other news websites and we report on the fintech industry. And we see a lot of news about new fintechs popping up. But when we actually look at the press releases, it's the same group of companies who are launching products. So basically, they can deploy modern solutions, and established brands in Latin America have an advantage. So back in November last year, when President Lopez Obrador banned slots in casinos and other gambling facilities, this decision has been contested. What steps should iGaming companies be taking to navigate any potential regulatory disruption within the Mexican market? What's your opinion on that?
Well, I think geopolitics is always an interesting topic, especially in Latin America. It's a landscape that can change a lot over a very short period of time. So one president's legislation today could be something totally different in a few months' time. And I think Mexico is one of those countries that has seen a lot of change in the last decade. So it is being contested, and it's still not fully clear what is actually being written in the law and how that will be implemented towards the world of online. From what we understand, there will be a limitation on renewal of licenses, which, I mean, for us is a good thing because obviously you're going to mitigate the possibility of having a saturated market, similar in Brazil, where obviously they've put the regulation through, but you're still going to have hundreds of brands operating in Brazil. Well, I think in Mexico they're going to cap it, and I think for us, for sure, that's a good thing. Also, because of our partner that we have in Mexico, we have a very good relationship with the regulator there, Segob. So we always have our ears close to the ground, trying to understand what will need to be done and try and do it first. And we're trying to be as proactive as possible with all of the steps. I think with every regulation, they're obviously trying to put the user at the front and make the user the most important. So I think if you're already doing or taking the necessary steps to protect the user, identifying gambling problems, KYC issues, money laundering issues, I think if you already have those tools in place, then I think that's already the majority of that foundations set up in order to continue to operate in the Mexican market. And I also think all of those things goes back to my previous point, which helps generate the trust with the user, but also with the regulator. You know, they have experience, they know what they're looking for. There is a method to their madness. I may not agree with how they've worded the legislation. I think that's certainly something that will need to be changed. But I think the effect will mainly be felt on the retail side of the business, especially with the slots. So on our side, we're trying to make sure that we have other options for the users. You know, it shouldn't just be slots. It could be virtual tables. It could be sports. It could be esports. Just making sure that you have other offerings for the user, making sure that you are as transparent as possible. A lot of it is common sense, especially for operators that are working in other jurisdictions or have experience working in more regulated markets such as Europe. And if you can put all of those things together, then you should be okay. But I think it's also very important to have the relationship with the guys who are setting the regulation, just to understand where their mind is, what it is they're looking for, and don't wait. Try and get it. Actually, Bill said it before. I caught the end of it, but try and be ahead of the curve. And I think that is something that's so important when dealing with regulators. You don't want them to come knocking on your door. It's, you know, every operator's worst nightmare is to receive that knock on the door. So we try and have an open conversation with the regulators as often as possible, and make sure that when they do say something to us, even if it's not set in stone, then we will try and be proactive and try and get the wheels in motion. So if it does ever happen, then we're ready.
All right. So yeah, I mean, I've really seen a lot of news lately about Mexico in terms of even conferences being hosted there. I mean, of course, Brazil has been the spotlight now in Latin America, but Mexico is half the size in terms of population as Brazil. So Brazil has around 215 million or something like that, and Mexico around 125 million. That's a big market. So operators must be really, really interested in having players and retaining them. So in your view, what verticals can operators shift their attention to in order to retain their players? And how are you guys at Wistack with your platform supporting them on doing this?
So I agree with what you say, Mexico, and it goes back to the first point, but Mexico is a great market. If you have a good local partner, and you know how to treat the customers, and you're not just having Mexico as another market, but you're actually fully focused on it, it's a fantastic market. The users are educated already. iGaming's been around for long enough. You have the technology, you have smartphone penetration, you have internet, you have a very good, cool, vibrant young generation coming through, which I also think is very, very important. And I think you need to be able to tailor to that audience. So how to retain the customers? I actually believe it's something that we are doing very, very well on a month-to-month basis. Our KPIs are showing that the churn that we have is improving on a monthly basis. And that I actually put down to us having a forward-thinking mentality and looking towards the future. So a lot of it comes down to social gaming. And if you look at a lot of big brands in the world of social gaming, which is where the younger audience are, or perhaps they are before they become 18 and can legally gamble, they're playing at, the Playtika brand suite of casino games. Things like missions and journeys are very, very good tools to have. We've actually just rebranded our loyalty program because two customers in a year and a half actually finished and got to the end, which no one's meant to do. So we've had to kind of rejig the economy that we have. But the missions is something that we get really good positive feedback about. We have customers logging in every day just to see what the mission of the day is, try and complete it, then log off. It doesn't even need to be having a bet or making a deposit. It can be something very, very simple, liking a post on Instagram or on Facebook or whatever it may be. But just engaging with the user on a regular basis and on stuff that's not always telling them, come deposit, come play. I think that resonates with them based on their experiences in the world of social. So that's definitely something that I would say we do very, very well. The retention side of the business. We also, with our communication with the customers, we try and keep the same tone of voice and not confuse them. We're trying to build a brand identity, and because we have a retail partner, we've tried to merge that brand identity into one, just trying to make sure that the user understands that he's in a Winpot environment, which is the name of our brand in Mexico. So we try and be transparent with them. We don't try and shove bonuses down their throat. We do try and speak about the new features, whether it be the loyalty program, which you can exchange for gifts in. You can exchange for gifts in the store, whether it be a cap, a T-shirt, all these other things. I don't know what we put in our store, but there's stuff in there for the users. And then payouts is really, really important. Give the customer their money quickly. Give it to them as soon as possible. The sooner you give it to them, the sooner they'll be more inclined to bring it back. So those are the things that I would say have helped us the most in terms of retaining the customers. I would really like us to continue down that path of the social element of missions. And we've also just implemented cryptocurrency, which is another way for us to try and engage the younger audience. I hope I'm not offending any of the people who are my age, older, who aren't quite Bitcoin savvy. But those are things that I would say that we are doing well, seem to be working, and things that we would like to continue to improve on.
All right. How big is the user? I mean, not how big. How has been cryptocurrency perceived in Latin America? Because from what we know, it's very big over there.
It's massive. I didn't know how big it was. And perhaps I'm naive, perhaps I'm showing my age. I didn't know how big it was. So, okay, yes, for the fun of it, I do hold some cryptocurrencies. Do I know what I'm doing? Probably not. But over there, it's a passion. They understand about it. They know about it. They are intrigued by it. They are happy to use it as a method of depositing and withdrawing. So I was really taken back by it. Once I understood the size of it, I said, okay, guys, we need to have this and get this done. My team actually managed to do it quite quickly, which I was quite happy about. We had a really good local partner that we use for it. But it's much bigger than I anticipated or even because you think Latin America, surely they have their own problems. No, they are really on the ball, not just with cryptocurrency, but things that are going on around the world. And maybe you think, it's 9 hours behind us and the other side
Yeah.
of the world. I spend half my time down there every month. It doesn't cease to amaze me, the technology, the people, the vibrancy of it. Everything is leading to a very modern, um, emerging market, not just for iGaming, but for lots of other things around the world. I just wish the traffic would be better, um, but in terms of cryptocurrency, they are really, really on the ball. And I would really recommend it if a brand is trying to target Latin America, then cryptocurrency is a must.
Especially since there are so many safeguards now for this industry. And in my opinion, it might be also this geopolitical stuff that you also mentioned, that maybe not trusting the government enough and being because the fluctuation of the currency and stuff like that, crypto can be a good way of still keeping the value of your money. Yeah, so most probably that's one of the reasons it got so big there. So
Sure.
usually this is my final question, and as you know, we're already in May, so we blink twice and it's the end of the year. That's what I like to say. And I would just like to ask, how do you see the market evolving as we progress further into 2024?
It's funny you asked that question. I actually look at my calendar saying, wow, it really is May. You're going to blink twice more and the year will be over. It's time has flown for sure. Um, Looking ahead to 2024, so it's going to be an interesting year. You have a lot of interesting sporting events that we could capitalize on from a user acquisition perspective. But the Mexican iGaming market itself, I think it's poised for continued growth. I think it's going to continue to evolve. I think the improvements in technology and entertainment, I think, are only going to continue to accelerate the market. I anticipate maybe a greater emphasis on like digital technology, personalized experience. I think will become more and more relevant to the operators working there, and more responsible gaming. I think that's going to be coming in a lot more in 2024 with the new regulation that's coming in, maybe coming in. I think people will start taking a look at it and saying, okay, we need to be a bit more responsible to our users. Cryptocurrency and everything that goes with blockchain, I think we will see being more involved in 2024 in the Mexican market. But I cannot see a situation where this market is going to stagnate or not continue to grow on a yearly basis. And I think with tech as a whole, I think we've positioned ourselves very well to navigate these changes that we believe are going to happen, and then capitalize on any opportunities that might come our way.
All right, so I wish you all the luck in the world with that. And I ran out of questions. That means it's time to close our conference. Maybe if you have some closing remarks or parting words
on the Mexican market or life in general.
Next to market.
In regards to the Mexican market, like I say, I go there a lot. I love my time there. It's an absolutely fantastic country with really, really warm people, really, really intelligent people. I see a lot of brands working there, but don't have a local office. I think localization is really, really important. If you want to do a job correctly, you need to have a local presence and speak the same language, which isn't just Spanish. It's much more than that in terms of how you treat your customers. But I love it every time I go there. I'm actually there on Saturday for 2 weeks. But the potential there is great. The customers are very, very smart. And you need to, again, I just feel like I'm copying Bill, but you have to stay ahead of the curve. There's no other way around it.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, Yoni. Wish you all the best. And thank you for our audience for sticking around for the second quarterly meetup this year. We will be back in September with the third quarterly meetup. Until then, take good care, everyone. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.